What's good, YouTube? It's Nas, and we back with another video. Road to 300 subscribers, of course. We're going every day. We're almost 2025, so we're going to be doing this all 2025. If you end up liking this video, subscribe. But in today's video, we're going to do a Demar Derozan versus Vince Carter video. They're both Toronto legends, so if you're from Toronto, leave a comment, I guess. But we're going to do 9 seasons because that was how long Vince Carter's peak was, and Demar's basically peak was 9 seasons too. But let's just get into it. In Vince Carter's first peak season in the 1999-2000 season, Vince Carter averaged 25.5 points per game, basically 6 rebounds and 4 assists. And this season was when he won the dunk contest, and I not believe, and he was not just the dunker. He made the All-Star game team. He made the All-Star game, if I'm not mistaken, that season too. In the 2000-2001 season, VC averaged 27.5 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, and 4 assists. In the 2001-2002 season, Vince Carter averaged 24.5 points per game, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. He went on to average these stats basically for the next 9 seasons. But if only Vince Carter had the drive to be one of the best in the league, because Vince Carter's talent was phenomenal. He had the jumper. He was able to dunk on people, as y'all know. He had a handle, so he could get by you whenever he wanted. And his defense was nothing to shake on too, because he wasn't gonna let you get past him easy. And he was like 6'6", 6'5", too. But in the 2002-2003 season, Vince Carter only played 43 games. He averaged 20.5 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, and 3 assists. In the 2003-2004 season, Vince Carter averaged 22.5 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, basically 5 rebounds and basically 5 assists. And this would be his last season, really, his last full season in Toronto. He forced out, he wanted out, and in all fairness, Toronto did not have a team around him to fit his skills time at that time. So when people say that he gave up on them or whatever people used against him, it just doesn't make sense whatsoever. But in the combined season of 2004 and the 2005 season, for 20 games with Toronto, he averaged basically 16 points per game, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists. And then the 57 games in Brooklyn, he averaged 27.5 points per game, 6 rebounds, and 4.5 assists. And the duo of him and Jason Kidd proved to be huge in Brooklyn, or not even Brooklyn, New Jersey, if you want to say. He is a New Jersey Nets legend after all, even though it was short-lived. But his peak in New Jersey, come on, bro. He was catching laws. Him and Jason Kidd on the break with Richard Jefferson at the 3 too. Don't sleep on prime Richard Jefferson, because I wouldn't even say prime, young Richard Jefferson, because he was catching bodies too. Him and Vince Carter at shit. And you also still had Kenyon Martin there too. It was just a scary team there. They could have got a ring, but obviously they didn't. In the 2005-2006 season, Vince Carter averaged 24 points per game, basically 6 rebounds and 4.5 assists, and this would be his second to last season. And Vince Carter has always, when he had his best seasons, he's played above 60 games. When he didn't play above 50 games, if you want to give a price point or a set goal. And in his last peak season, I would say he averaged 25 points per game, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. And it's too bad that Vince Carter became like a bounce around player, but we all know the career Vince ended up to shape. He was the Rookie of the Year in 1999. He was the slam dunk contest champion in 2000. He was an 8-time All-Star, All-NBA second team in 2001, and All-NBA third team in 2000. He was a gold medalist in 2000, and he is in the Hall of Fame right now. And his Toronto Raptors jersey and his New Jersey Nets jersey will be retired. So obviously Vince Carter was a legend, or is a legend, in this basketball league. But next, getting into DeMar DeRozan's peak, and we're going to start when he made his first All-Star appearance. He averaged basically 22.5 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, and 4 assists. And DeMar was just always a bucket. But in these seasons, he was more athletic. He was dunking. Go back and look at young DeMar's dunking highlights. There's a whole mixtape about it. But these seasons with him and Kyle Lowry were huge. Was exciting. They couldn't get past LeBron, yes, but they gave the city of Toronto a playoff berth every single season. But in the 2014-15 season, Demar averaged 20 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, and 3.5 assists. In the 2015-16 season, Demar averaged 23.5 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, and 4 assists. This being one of his best seasons before his next season, which ended up being his best season at the time, or his best season with the Toronto Raptors. He averaged 27 points per game, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. And I'm pretty sure he was an all-star starter this season on that team. And they had the number 1 seed, if I'm not mistaken. But this was Toronto's best chance to win, not even win, to beat LeBron, and it couldn't be done. In the 2017-18 season, that was another chance for them to beat LeBron. He averaged 23 points per game, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists. And him and Vince Carter's games are way different. DeMar is a mid-range scorer, get to the basket. He could get right by you at his peak. But also, if you let him get to that mid-range and he sees a shot that he likes, it will go in. And it's automatic. It's still automatic to this day somewhat, even though it's not the same as it was in his peak years. But in the 2017-18 season, his last season in Toronto before they eventually shipped him out, he averaged 23 points per game, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists. And they did DeMar dirty, but they ended up getting a ring, trading him away for Kawhi Leonard. And I would do that move in a heartbeat too. But they ended up winning a ring, and DeMar, his next couple seasons, wouldn't be recognized as an all-star, but he went underrated in San Antonio when he averaged 21 points per game, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists. And from these seasons, I noticed that his playmaking got a lot better. Because in Toronto, he was worried about getting a bucket. Kyle Lowry was worried about the playmaking. But on the Spurs, Greg Popovich turned him into this point forward, basically, where he was getting the young players involved, having them grow around him. And in that 2018-19 season, I'm pretty sure they made the playoffs that season. They lost to the Nuggets, I'm not mistaken. But DeMar was good for the Spurs. In the 2019-20 season, DeMar averaged 22 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, and 5.5 assists. In the 2020-2021 season, his last season in San Antonio, he averaged 21.5 points per game, 4 rebounds, and 7 assists. His highest assist season by far. In the 21-2022 season, he had his best season by far. He averaged 28 points per game, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. And he was named the All-Star starter this year, playing power forward. And this season was the most I've watched DeMar Derozan, and the most I've seen him have fun since his Toronto days. And I'm not blaming it, because the Bulls, before Lonzo Ball eventually went out, they were the number 1 seed in the league, and they looked like they couldn't be stopped. But Lonzo went down, obviously, and the Bulls began to struggle, and they were never really the same team ever since then. In the 2022-2023 season, DeMar averaged 24.5 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, and 5 assists. In the 2023-2024 season, his last season in Chicago, basically, he averaged 24 points per game, 4 rebounds, and 5.5 assists. But DeMar DeRozan's accolades speak for themselves. He's a 6-time All-Star in 2014, 2016 through 2018, 2022, and 2023. 2-time All-NBA second team, 1-time All-NBA third team. He's a 2-time gold medalist, and that's really it. But I just wanted to talk about these 2 Toronto Raptors legends, and how do y'all feel about them? Let me know down below. Subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If y'all want to see some more, there's a video on the left and the video on the right. Click on them.